Window without stopping the recording, right? Recording is in process. Okay, hopefully that'll pick up soon. Okay, so traveling, what I'd like to do is tell you a little bit about some of the experiences I've had, what's worked well. I'm gonna open it up in here. If you guys have had things that have worked well or things that haven't worked well. No, I think that was the recording. Well, do you see anyone joining? I don't think so. And or things you want to try that you're like, as you're thinking about the summer. I think that one of the things that comes to mind for me, because I was listening to this podcast for the lady who does the Bible recap, which is a really good, well-supported Bible in a Year program. And she was just talking about the importance of your mindset as you approach your time with the Bible every day, and how just making it non-negotiable, that this is the time I'm going to meet with Jesus, and it's more important than anything else in my day. And Jesus is more important than anyone we know, but sometimes we kind of make him less important than the people we know. We don't even consider him a person. Like we might, we have a time that we're going to meet with Jesus, but then if something else comes up, he's the first thing to get bumped, instead of protecting that time even more than you would, a meeting with your boss or a meeting with a friend or anything else that would take priority in your life. So just that mindset of like, this is my most important thing, and I'm going to make every intention to make it happen. Now, that doesn't mean there won't be days where we have glitches, of course, but that mindset I think is really helpful if you start with that at the beginning, both in regular life, but also while traveling in some ways, all the more so because things just can get so helter-skelter when you're traveling. So, so that would be the first thing I would think of would be mindset. I'm going to try to take notes while I'm talking. It's a little bit harder while I'm sharing ideas. You want to take notes while I'm doing my part? I'm better at taking notes when other people talk than I am when I'm talking. So now I'm just going to kind of throw out a smattering of ideas, things that I've tried and may or may not recommend. Yeah, that'd be great. Patty's going to note take for us. So I know I forgot to bring the camera. It has a better microphone on it too, which is really nice for Zoom people. We're having a hard time keeping all the pieces together. Patrick and Michelle, can you still hear me?
Yep. Yes.
Good. So it kind of depends on how you're traveling and who you're with. So I'm going to kind of talk about different scenarios. So one scenario is you're driving. So you're driving somewhere. Anytime that you are in a vehicle, whether it's a car or an airplane, is actually a fabulous time to do your prayer of recollection, in my opinion. It's not going to be the same as sitting in your prayer chair, of course. And if you're not driving, it's easier because you can read while you're doing it. But I think I've told you I've done this before, and I'm not necessarily saying I recommend it because it might be very slightly dangerous. But I have done this, and it has worked well spiritually, although perhaps maybe not the smartest thing physically. I'll print the section out ahead of time in a really large print font, like 24 or 36 or something like that. And so maybe it goes front and back. And then I'll put it with me in the car, and I'll just take, when there's no cars that I can run into, I'm on the interstate, I'll just take a quick look at the verse, and then I'll just meditate on just that verse. I don't think it's illegal. I just don't think it's safe. No, I don't think it's illegal. Maybe that's true. So, yeah, if you have someone else in the car with you, maybe they could read it to you. If you don't want to do it by reading, though, you can do the audio, but you've got to get your audio queued up before you start driving, because it's hard to get into the Bible app and get to that going.
Some cars or apps go back.
Yeah, and I don't know if the Bible, I've been using the
our car is old and not good at that.
Right. So, but what I'm saying is that when you have hours and hours of driving, it's a really great time to meditate, because you have time to let that verse sink into you, and you have time so maybe you read it and kind of get it solidly in your mind before you go, or pull over and read it, or whatever you need to do if that's illegal. I'm not recommending you to break the law. But I've had some really, really good, powerful experiences with extended times to think about things in the car. I know one of our members in our group she had been reading, only reading, not doing any of the other meditative parts, but this was a huge step for her because she had never read the Bible before. And she was getting ready to take a plane trip recently. And I said, and my challenge to her was, make this the first time you do tax, is on the plane. Don't just do your reading, actually do tax and journal it out this time. And she said, I'm going to do that. And I said, text me when you're done. So she did. She did it, and she texted me right away, and it went great. And we had a nice conversation about it. So to me, that says the plane must be a great place. If you don't even normally feel like it's something you want to engage, but you can do it on the plane, like that's pretty awesome. But same kind of thing, right? You have space, you have protected space where you can't do chores, you can't mow your lawn, you can't clean the dishes in the sink, no distractions, unless you have a noisy seatmate. But once you pull the Bible out, maybe they won't talk to you. No, if you were the seatmate of
On the plane.
you were
or
being
in
a
the car.
stranger on the plane beside me. Not you. If it was you, we would do it together.
Well,
So-
I'm gonna be your seatmate on the next intern, so.
We can do it together. So,
Is it noisy?
no, I like it when we talk. I love talking to you.
Mhm.
But that leads into the next one, which is when you're traveling, you can do it with people. So there's a couple of options on that too. You can, if you're with people who don't normally do it, you can do it with, you can be like, what I say to people usually is, I try to make it fairly informal, and I'll just be like, hey, do you want to do a Bible-y thing together? These Christians, I'm with Christians, and they're always like, yeah, sure. So I just open to today's section and I just follow straight
You
to
can do it with non-Christians.
You could do it with non-Christians. I had one lady who was very interested in doing it with non-Christians when she was traveling. So you could totally do it with non-Christians. And so I just try to make it real casual. We read through the verse together. We do it slowly. We just talk about, and I'll do tact without tell them we're doing tact. Like I'll say, what do you think is, or I'll do, people love reality and vision. You haven't learned that one yet, Patty. But you will. That one is super good to
Is that
do
on
with
the
other
brown
people. Yeah, it's on the brown sheet. We talked about it.
Let's make it brown for the board.
Yeah, you can do that, girl.
Blue is it?
It is? Oh, yeah, for the summer.
Summer.
For John. That would be awesome. So, so you can do reality and vision or text, but just be like, ask them like, hey, what do you think this section is even about? Like, what does it say to you? What's the main point? Or what do you think this section is teaching us? That kind of thing. And so, so that can be very good. But, again, that's a little bit more, you don't have to follow so strictly the meditative questions. You just follow the conversation and where it goes. And one of the things I notice seems to be a pattern when I'm meditating with other people. This was kind of when we were doing Ephesians. So it was a little more to that text, but because I had a couple experiences with that. When people, often it seems like when they read it and they really start to soak into it, if there's a teaching, they will, if they're being honest, they will say, I don't believe that. Like, I mean, I believe it in my head, but I don't believe that. I can tell in my life, I don't believe that teaching. I'm not living by that. So, something to that effect, which is the most beautiful segue. If you ever hear someone say that to you, you've just stepped into the most purest, beautiful ground, because now you're open to a conversation about that's really interesting. Like, how do you know? Let's talk about our lives. What happens when we don't believe that, which is the reality side of reality and vision. And then what if you really did believe that? What would your life look like? So you can have an amazing conversation with people if they get to that place of honest realization, when they start thinking about a scripture, which is probably true about most of us with most scriptures. So that's doing it with people who don't normally do it. If you are with someone, I don't know if anyone here has a spouse who's doing it, but if this does come up, or you're with someone who does do it, like Anna and I both do it, we have each other. Patrick and Michelle. Oh, Patrick and Michelle, exactly. If you guys are traveling together, you guys can do it together and carve out a special space. So we have a hotel we stay at in Missouri when we're going to see Lizzie at Cape Girardeau that we like. And Anna and I will decide, I don't know if you liked this as much as I did. I love this. We decide when it's time to do Prayer of Recollection, and we would leave the hotel room because the other people were watching Chopped or whatever. And they had really nice seating areas, lots of different seating areas around, a lot of hotels. It's a really nice, cute little hotel, good for families. So we would just find some couch out of the way and we would do it together. So that's one way that you can, when you're traveling with someone, that you can kind of, or if like Rick probably would do his
He would
own
do it with me.
devotional. He might do it with you, or he might do his own devotional. You guys can do it at the same time quietly if you're doing different things, that kind of thing. So that's another really good one for traveling. I find a lot of times that traveling is, because you're in a different mindset, you can think even more about the Bible than you do in your regular busy life. Like if you can get the verse and your meditations kind of set in your mind, if you can keep intentional about bringing that back to your mind, you're with different people, you're in different places, you may be seeing beautiful things, or just looking at the landscape of somewhere else. It kind of stimulates your mind to think in a different way. So while we may be tempted to not do it while we're traveling, or it may be more difficult to do it while we're traveling, there may be more opportunities for connecting with Jesus in a new way, and in a way that will really have significant change on your heart. So,
well, the other thing is frequently people say that the thing that prevents them from meditating on it is all the distractions.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I feel like when you're vacationing, you don't have those distractions.
Yes.
As many distractions.
Yes.
Here anymore.
Well, it depends where you go.
yeah, because you're with your kids.
Yeah, mine is
grandkids.
I would like say, you know what, I'm gonna go to a coffee shop for a little while and I'll be back.
Exactly.
Mhm.
But yeah, you're right about distractions. And it's also one of the things that's cool about traveling and thinking about your spirit and God is the vast variety of the world. I had the amazing experience to go to a beach house in Mexico with my cousin, who was a missionary. Someone in her church loaned it to us. And it was not a swimming beach. It was like lots of rocks and huge waves splashing up, all the time. And I was just so melted to sit on their porch and see that ocean and think, this is the same God that I experience on my little back porch, where I experience him in a completely different way, because we have, our little version of wildlife there, the bees and the birds and the things floating through the air and stuff. Those little fuzzy things. Is that pollen? I don't know. It's beautiful though. But just to think that there are thousands, maybe millions of places in the world where you could see God in a completely unique way. And when you get away from home, I was just struck by that I wish I could go and see every corner of the world and see what God has done there, how beautiful it is. So those are some thoughts. So I just kind of want to open it up and say, are there things that have worked for you? Or if you're going to travel this summer, are there ideas that you're thinking about to try to experiment with? Of course, always have to flex with what happens, but I know you're traveling. You've got a big.
Well, so, last week, I think you suggested getting one of those,
Yes.
so I did. I ordered it, and I'm super excited. It's the Book of John.
Doesn't it feel nice?
Well, yeah, and I was just because I love.
I'm going to show Patrick and Michelle.
Fun.
So this is what she bought. My daughter gave me this for my birthday. This is John. Did you guys get to see this yet, Patrick and Michelle? My little book like this. Tori,
Yeah, that's last week. Yeah, I think you have. Oh, that's a good one.
And she has, it's very,
Mhm.
see,
Very thin. Yep. Mhm.
it was $6.
Wow. Okay.
On
On Amazon, you said?
Amazon, yeah.
Okay.
Where did you have the label on there? Does it say, I wonder if that'll help them.
But you have to get that version.
Yeah,
Which
you can
version is
only
it?
get the ESV, the English Standard Version, I think.
Okay.
But I just like the size of it because I don't take it.
Illuminated scripture journal. Okay.
But
Yep.
what I did is.
All right. Thank you.
Our schedule of reading.
Yes.
And then I just went through and marked what day to read it.
Oh.
And it's got, a journal page on each side. And so.
I don't know if you can hear Tori. Can you hear Tori what she's saying, what she did to her Bible?
No. Good.
She said she went through in advance and marked all the sections so
With the
she'll
date.
know the date. Did you write the date on there too?
Yeah, she wrote the
She
date.
wrote the date for each section break that we have for our reading plan. because
Okay.
she's doing a long international trip next month, and she's that's small enough to fit in her her bag.
That's a great idea.
And now all the dates are written on there.
Yeah.
Okay.
The date has a place you can write, so I can write this stuff.
That's awesome.
May I see
How
how
it makes me like want to do it because I'm really excited.
Yeah, this is so. I was wondering how much writing room you're going to get. It looks like about 1 to 2 days per blank page.
Quite a bit.
Yeah. Oh, that's awesome.
Yes, let me tell you, and I think, I think the other thing that helps just with prayer recollection in general is I used to get so caught up in trying all the different things like vision, reality, and trying to follow it. And I'm just focusing on the one that comes the easiest
Yes.
to make sure that I do it.
Yes.
I'm thinking, the tax one, the
Mhm.
Yeah.
confession. And so it's just, it'll make it easier for me to stick with it.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to summarize because we didn't bring the good microphone today. I don't know if you could hear that. So part of the strategy she's thinking of for her travel this summer is to not try to push herself to be like trying all the different things on the brown sheet, like reality and vision and implications and truth and lies and all that. But like just to go what comes naturally and easily, which will probably be tax. But I think you're also saying if reality and vision popped out at you on one day, that's what you would do. Like you're just going to flow with it. Tax is kind of your go-to, but it could be anything. And you're not going to feel any pressure that I have to. Are we having problems?
I'm dropping everything in the world.
Anna had an avalanche of all of her pillows and things.
I grabbed my pillow
And my phone.
Yeah.
So that's good. So you feel, and she's excited. So she feels like excited for her trip, excited to do prayer of recollection on her trip. She's prepared. She's got a. So that's awesome. Do you have any challenges that you're concerned about doing prayer of recollection on your trip that like you think will get in your way? Hurdles?
But, I think that having the mindset that you're just gonna do it, I think.
Yeah, the
Because
mindset.
it'd be so easy to put it aside.
Yep.
And, so just find ways to make it so it's like the idea of doing it in the car. Or,
Yeah.
That make sure you do it. I'll probably be flexible with when I do it. I
Yes.
won't be as rigid about that.
Yes.
And hopefully incorporate my husband in it too.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
So, but just being flexible, but being
Yeah.
the mindset of actually doing it.
Yeah, the balance of being flexible and having that mindset of non-negotiable, like being non-negotiable, but still being flexible at the same time and incorporating your husband. That's really good. Another thing that you can think about with mindset, I may have talked to some of you guys about this before. You can pick, whether you're traveling or at home, you can pick something in your day that you're going to do that's important, but not necessarily urgent. And say, I won't do this until I have finished my prayer of recollection time. Not to punish yourself, but just to remind yourself. So like, maybe you don't read your email until you finished it. Or maybe you don't, I thought of this one yesterday. I haven't done this. Maybe you don't eat until you've done it. Like you get your spiritual food before you get your physical food. And until then you're fasting. That's exactly right. So anyways, but you could think of other things, if you have entertainment in your life that you like, that for sure could wait. Well, if there's like Netflix or Instagram or whatever, TikTok, that kind of stuff. So those are some ideas.
Yeah. Very good ideas, actually.
Yeah. What are you guys thinking, Patrick and Michelle? Are you traveling or are you having some ideas from the conversation that are resonating with you guys?
Yeah, I think keeping it a priority is probably the critical thing, because you can easily get detracted and start doing, let's say, the time changes, for example. You used to do it at 7:00 back home, and then where you are, the 7:00 is really a busy time for something else, or you're doing something totally different. So it just kind of get lost in the shuffle.
That gets lost.
You used to doing it this way, and now all of a sudden that time has changed, or you have an activity that catches you in the time that you normally do your readings and all that, and all of a sudden you can't do it anymore. Then you just have to make sure that you say, hey, I got to do this when I get back, or when I get my first chance I get, like you say, before I eat, I got to get that done. Now that I have this time, I like that. I like
Yeah.
those ideas. Yeah, that
Yeah.
work. Yeah.
Okay, who else has something you're thinking about in this conversation that it's stirring in you? Reactions, ideas? Ed, what are you thinking over there?
I think as long as I've been, what was the Catholic?
Mm-hmm.
There's there's a protocol. It's the best time to study the Bible. When you can focus, there's no distractions. So you know yourself, what works and what doesn't work. And I know me, my dad was part of my focus.
Hear better.
College in the Midwest, and I drove 40,000 miles a year.
Wow.
And,
40,000 a year?
Yeah. I just went on service calls at different places, and a lot of times I didn't know, I was anxious about it because you never know what you're going to run into. And, be calm about it. And, it was just ongoing. That was how I grew my faith, because I needed, of course I'm a goal person. I would work to accomplish some kind of goal. And that had to do with making a living. So that the job that I did seemed like most people didn't last in it too long. So that was me trusting God to give me what I needed to get it done. And I did it for 41 years.
Yeah, it worked. It stuck.
But, going on vacation, I think about, you're going to drive where you're going?
We'll be driving probably
Mostly.
between the places, yeah.
Well, Willow was great back then because you could get tapes originally.
Mm-hmm.
And still now, there's all kinds of audio stuff.
Oh,
You
there's
can
tons.
stick in if you drive a lot, so you don't waste time, and it's something that keeps your mind active. But being motivated, that's the thing, and knowing yourself, how important it is. That's how you, but having somebody that you're accountable, like
Yeah.
gets you the physical person that you usually wind up not becoming closer with that person, because you you should do it on your own. It's just like a diet.
Yeah. That's good.
But it's me. I have me, myself, and I. So
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
it's different. Everybody's different.
Yep. Patty, what are you thinking?
I'm actually thinking, because I usually go to see my kids, so I would think that, and my grandkids, so I would like to, just teach them that, this is grandma's time, and, and my kids. It's good to take a half hour to
Yeah.
yourself and
Yeah.
spend it with the Lord. So
Yeah.
I think it's a good example.
Yeah. To see you modeling that and
Yeah.
making that a priority.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. Anna, what are you thinking?
I'm looking to be reading.
What you need is microfiber.
Microfiber?
Yes,
For what?
I can see those glasses.
Ted's giving Anna grief about how dirty her glasses are.
What day am I going to?
Poor glass guardian. Yeah, it's tomorrow. We have a glasses appointment tomorrow.
Mhm.
You'll be out of the.
Okay.
You'll be out of the routine of school, like part of school keeps you on a routine. But
Yes.
This summer, you'll be like.
Whole new schedule, yeah.
And, and it's even between school, you're on to a new thing. So
Mhm.
like, what are you thinking about to help you build the appeal?
It was not in my day, so it's not gonna be back in. It's just gonna be in.
It was in before a while ago. It's just been
I
a while.
was not in school. I was at home. It
Oh, that was
quarantine.
during quarantine. Oh.
So I think it'll be easier for me.
During quarantine?
I get overstimulated, so
Yeah.
I just kind of shut down at the end of the day. I'm like, okay, goodbye. Gonna go do nothing for the next 5 hours.
So, but she has a good question. What do you think with your new schedule? Or do you have any thoughts on that?
I don't know. I just try and have it around, and when I have a moment where I want to sit down and do something, to just do it.
So just availability of it. makes it
Yeah.
easier.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna be working now, so who knows what will happen. Honestly,
Mm-hmm.
who knows what my schedule will even be.
Yeah, we don't know.
We can take a survey, what time it is, this time.
Sure. Ted's saying, well, let's survey what's the best time of day to do it. Okay, so your choices, what do we say? More, well, just say it, Ted. Let's just morning. Is morning yours, Ted?
Initial shock of waking up.
Past the shock of waking up, morning, first thing. First thing before breakfast? No, after breakfast. That's me too. I go after breakfast. Tori, what's your best time?
I do it, I have the best time with it when I do it before anything else. I get up and go to bed.
Yep.
I can't eat for an hour because I take medication. I can't eat
Oh,
for
so you've
an
got a
hour.
little window
So
there.
That's what I do first.
Yeah.
That's the time.
I should be
And it's more out of fear sometimes it makes me do it because the day they don't. If
Oops.
they don't do it first. I don't get to it.
Yes.
Are you
So
trying to
it's-
share your screen? Do you have it?
Yeah.
If it's the wrong
I know, I
reason,
can't get
then
that to go.
what drives me to do it is like.
You have to like this.
They go well, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna go sit down and do it.
Yeah.
You have to widen it so that you can see the.
Oh,
shared one.
okay. I was trying to share the screen. So I don't know if you could hear what Tori said. She said that for her, it's morning, even before she has breakfast. She's right when she's up. But part of that she said is she actually, the way she said it is she's driven by fear because she knows if she doesn't do it and then gets caught up in the day, that the day doesn't go as well. Like she can tell a difference on the days that she doesn't do it. And if she doesn't do it right away, she's less likely.
Maybe I should
Yeah, try it first thing in the morning
before you eat,
before you eat.
but have like a time that you eat,
Yeah.
so you don't just like put it off and off.
Yeah. Or while you're eating breakfast. You could do it while you're eating breakfast.
I get distracted.
You get distracted from eating.
Makes your mind, the body stops working, so you gotta have something there,
Yeah.
right?
You have to have something, or you don't have to have something.
I
You're saying.
do. I take them CTA.
Yeah.
It's not like it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Breakfast, it's not like a very big deal.
Yeah, you can do a quick breakfast. Okay, so we have some. Might do it
I
without
like
breakfast.
afternoon.
You like
'cause then
afternoon?
I'm not. When I wake, don't play that at me. When I wake up, I'm all excited about distracting things
Mm-hmm.
because I'm thinking all night.
Yeah.
I'm like, I gotta go write down everything. I was thinking.
Yeah, all your thoughts.
And then by afternoon, I'm tired of whatever I was doing.
So Anne, do you ever do this stuff in the morning?
No, I just usually wake up and I'm like, I want to do something, and then I do it, and then I'm like, that was kind of boring.
Patrick and Michelle, what's best time of day for you guys?
That's an interesting one. I haven't really found the best time of the day. What has worked well for us in the past was in the evening after work, right before dinner. However, I've noticed that as the weather has changed, the needs of the household has also changed. So I need to identify a new time. I
Yeah.
need to try some different times throughout the day.
Yeah.
To see which time works best for me. I'm leaning towards the morning.
Mhm.
I am a lot more productive
Yeah.
in the morning and the afternoon than I am in the evening.
That's kind of like what Ted was saying about finding your best, most alert, least distracted time of day. Where, in the old days, we would have probably wanted to give that time to our work or to whatever we feel like we need to do to be most productive at. But as you explore that, you kind of start to realize, I want to give that best time to Jesus, and that's going to make all the other work and everything else in the day better. Were you going to say something? I heard you breathe.
That's what you would have done.
Oh,
What?
yeah.
Not everyone's all about productivity.
Yeah, not everyone's all about productivity, but it's still,
I am not out here to maximize results.
yeah, right.
I could not think that way. I'd die.
But not necessarily even about productivity, but it is about time of clarity of thought. Your most, not necessarily even your most productive, but your best time of day.
Mhm.
Really.
I don't work that way. There's no such thing as best time.
You don't have a best time?
If I have a best time, I think to try and put pressure on doing a certain thing in your best time is very stressful for me.
No, so it would be counterproductive. Yeah, too stressful. Okay, I want to spend a little bit of time on a section to get today together. So, where's my book? Oh, here it is. I didn't bring copies. What'd you say? My time is after breakfast. So I usually I get up, try to have breakfast with Michael, and then it ends up being like probably about 8, or if I clean the kitchen first, it might be 8, 8:30, 9, somewhere in there. So it's before I start the worky stuff of the day, after I've kind of eaten. I agree with Ted. I need to have food in my stomach.
But if you
I think
set your
so.
circadian rhythm, your body might be.
Yeah, you could decide to do it before you eat, and your body would adapt to that. I do think that's true. Although I do think that you might think more clearly with food in your stomach because of the glucose in your brain.
I don't know.
But you could try it. You just experiment. See.
School has kind of forced me to change my eating times because they
Mm-hmm.
change your lunch and study hall every semester.
Mm-hmm.
So you're just like, okay, guess this is my life now.
Yeah, you got to do what they tell you
You
you're
have
going
to
to
do
do.
what they tell you to do, and it takes like 2 weeks, but then your body just gets used to it. And it's like, okay, I guess we eat it this time.
Yeah, you adapt yourself as needed. This one is a little looser. Have you noticed it likes to?
It is looser, but it does.
When
stay
it's connected,
connected.
it stays. It doesn't lose it. It's just, oh, I'm running into the chair. Okay.
How come you're so?
Chair this way.
My little sister,
Just the,
not we're
You're so much good.
not as different as we appear.
Our older daughter is considerably more different.
Considerably more different. I think that fundamentally we are a little bit different because we're just wired a different way.
Mhm.
But
You hurt their feelings because of the way you are?
who?
Yeah.
Do you hurt Chloe's feelings because of your personality type?
Oh yeah, because I'm mean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me. Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yes. I get a lot of grief, but I love her.
Oh, there's my problem.
That's what.
But okay, but I will say this. She does hurt Chloe's feelings, but she is also the most loving person in Chloe's life. She can love Chloe better than anyone else. Me, Michael. Yeah, if you could learn from her, you would be a master. She is so good at loving people. Everyone in our family would probably tell you that Anna makes them feel more loved than anyone who knows them.
Except for Lizzie.
Maybe not Lizzie.
Me and Lizzie are.
But if you were vibing with Lizzie, you would. So she's got,
Her tone of voice, is that what it is?
no, she's able to know you. She knows what matters to you, and she will make it important to herself for you. She'll connect with you on that. She's sitting here with me. She knows this is important to me.
So it came out to you, but it didn't happen to all your kids.
No, I don't think it came off of me. She has a special gift from God. It
Yeah,
didn't come from
gift.
me.
That is
Yeah,
a gift.
A very special gift.
Yeah.
Well, maybe some weird combination of you.
Yeah, maybe we got a good genetic mutation there. Like Cleopatra, she was a genetic mutation, but she was super beautiful. Anna is super loving. Okay, I didn't bring printed out scriptures. Do you guys have a copy of scripture with you? Let's do,
I feel like out of place. I don't have a copy with me.
we can share
I
together.
don't have anything.
We can share together. I'm just having a little
I'm just
trouble
writing on your coat today.
figuring out how to balance my notebook and my
I can hold it.
laptop. Okay, will you hold it where I can read
Is
off of
this
it with
fine?
you? So we're gonna do yesterday's section, which was 2:1, right?
I
Okay,
didn't do this one yet.
okay. So we're going to, Ted, do you have a copy of it there on your phone? Yes. Can have a copy. Does anyone have a preference whether we do it in the New Living Translation or the NASB?
I like NASB.
You like NASB? Anna voted first. We're going to do NASB. I see I underline in NASB. Sometimes I alternate which ones I underline in.
Between them.
Yeah,
I just look back and forth.
we can draw on the NLT as needed. Okay. All right. So before you get too into your scripture, you can just set that down in your lap and let us
Oh, it's this one. Sorry.
take several slow, deep breaths and just relax your body. Bring your attention to Jesus inside of you. You can imagine that you're looking at him with love in your eyes and he's looking back at you with love. If you notice any distractions coming up right now, you can just acknowledge those.
Garbage can.
The garbage can. Jesus, I am distracted by the garbage can. I trust you with this. And I thank you for the people who clean our church. Now, if you want to keep your eyes closed, I will read to it through the first time, and I will read it. I'll read it kind of slowly and just encourage you to imagine that the Jesus that we're reading about is inside you. Keep your awareness on him being inside of you. And you can also imagine that you're right there in this situation. And the text says, on the third day, there was a wedding in Cana of Galilee, and the mother of Jesus was there. And both Jesus and his disciples were invited to the wedding. When the wine ran out, the mother of Jesus said to him, "They have no wine." And Jesus said to her, "What business do you have with me, woman? My hour has not yet come." His mother said to the servants, "Whatever he tells you to do, do it." Now there were 6 stone water pots standing there for the Jewish custom of purification, containing 2 or 3 measures each. Jesus said to them, "Fill the water pots with water." So they filled them up to the brim. And he said to them, "Draw some out now and take it to the head waiter." And just pause here as you're imagining yourself in that situation, imagining that you're the servant who has filled that and you've just been asked to take this, what was water, now to the head waiter. Imagine how you might feel. Would there be a sense of nervousness? This seems to me like there might be a lot of uncertainty around that. Like, what did he do? Can this be trusted? Am I going to be made a fool of? And I'm even going to pause now as we're thinking about that. I'm just going to take a moment and ask ourselves, do I see anything in my own life that he may be calling me to step forward and do in the way that he asked these servants to take this to the head waiter? Just take a moment to see if his Holy Spirit brings anything up in you that you may feel that he's encouraging you to do that wouldn't have been the thing you would have wanted to do necessarily by instinct. Just sit with that for a moment. Spirit of Jesus, we invite you into our thoughts and to lead us to what you might want us to see in this. Just encourage you to keep holding on to any thoughts that he might be bringing to you in that. We're going to keep on with the text. And they took it to him, Now, when the head waiter tasted the water which had become wine and did not know where it had come from, but the servants who had drawn the water knew, the head waiter called the groom and said to him, "Every man serves the good wine first, and when the guests are drunk, then he serves the poorer wine. But you have kept the good wine until now." And then John says, this beginning of his signs Jesus did in Cana of Galilee and revealed his glory, and his disciples believed in him. Just going to pause on that verse as we let that, imagining that soaking into us, what that must have been like to have been one of his disciples and had a front row seat to all of this. And the effect that had on them. Do you feel that, sense that in your heart of that him revealing his glory and cultivating this sense of belief in him? And the last verse says, after this, he went down to Capernaum, he and his mother and his brothers and his disciples, and they stayed there a few days. So now you can open your eyes. If you want to get out a pen for journaling, you can. We're going to take a little bit of time to do. We're going to do tax again today. So we're going to start. First, I want to start before we do the teachings, though, just to look at the text itself and just kind of paraphrase or say, what is the main story? This is more of a story than or a teaching that you see here.
I don't get
You don't get what?
what's supposed to be happening.
Tell us, Anna.
Like, I understand what happened, but I don't know why anything happened.
Okay.
I don't know why his mom said do whatever he tells you when he said no to her.
Yes.
And then I don't know what the point of his first miracle being turning water into wine is.
Yes.
And then why did he do it if his hour hadn't come?
Yes.
That kind of stuff.
Well, yes, those are great questions. I had a thought yesterday after having read this section a number of times. I had a new thought that I'll share with you guys, and you guys can chime in too, what you think on just the overall, what is even the point of this section and the unanswered questions that Anna was putting out. But one thing that struck me, and I think it might be because I was reading it in NASB, which I haven't done in the past, and the way it's worded, she was asking, for one thing, why did he go ahead and agree to do it after he told his mom, my time has not yet come? Like, doesn't that seem strange that he would say that and then he'd turn around and do it?
And she seemed to know he was going to.
She did seem to know he was going to do it, but she might have been just kind of putting it in his court, like, do whatever he says, and then she lets him decide if he's going to make that move. It does seem like a high pressure power move on her part, but what struck me that I hadn't seen before was in verse 11, where it says, the signs Jesus did in Cana of Galilee and revealed his glory, and his disciples believed in him, was kind of so his time hasn't come. He's not coming public as the Messiah. He's not going out and starting to do miracles yet. But this follows right on the section of collecting these first 4 disciples, where he got
He still only has 4.
well, that's all they've told us about so far.
So cute.
He's got Andrew, and he's got Simon
Brothers
Peter
like 4 guys.
and Philip and Nathaniel. That's who was mentioned in the previous section. And then you notice that this section starts on the
It's
3rd
like
day.
a small little band.
Yeah. It says on the 3rd day, which to me tells me that the author is telling, he said that intentionally, right? And the 3rd day, the third 3 means something in the Bible. It means completion or fulfillment. And then, so the section before had 2 days in it, right? They stayed with him, and then they went to Galilee the next day. And then this happened on the 3rd day. So for me, I felt like John was saying, we've gotten these new disciples. Now we're going to go to a wedding feast. And then the section closes with him saying that he did this sign and his disciples believed in him.
Okay, the exposition is over.
What's an exposition?
It's the part where you lay out all the parts of the story that you need to know.
Yeah, exactly. So to me, this felt like he was saying, I'm not going public with my ministry, but I need these disciples to believe in me. So I'm going to do, it's like he did a private showing for just them. And you notice only the servants saw it. The head waiter didn't even know what happened. Like this was a very backwards miracle in the sense of almost no one knew what was going on. The disciples knew, the servants knew, the head waiter didn't know, the groom didn't know. All the important
groom was
people.
so confused.
The groom was like, what the heck? Where'd all this good wine come from? I didn't buy it.
How old was he at this time? How old was Jesus at this
Jesus
time?
would have been 30, I assume, because this was the very start of his ministry, and they say he was 30 when his
That's so
ministry
cute.
started. Yeah, that is cute.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, Patty, what did you say?
I took it a whole different way.
Yeah, what do you
Which I
have?
love what you did, but I feel like the reason they started out on, the third day is foreshadowing,
Mm.
what's to come.
Yeah.
And then especially using, and then this part where he says, no, it's not my time, but
Yeah.
then he does it anyway. I really feel like part of me felt like he loved his mother so much that he
Mm.
honored her by,
It was like
helping-
honoring his mother. Yeah.
like he was honoring her wish that he do
Mhm,
something,
mhm.
because I feel like he had such high value for his mother. And then the other part of the story where they talk about the 3 jars,
Mhm.
and hold on. Well, first of all, they use those jars for cleansing.
Yeah, right.
So-
Those were ceremonial
So
cleansing
on the
jars.
third day, Jesus rose from the dead. Just like
Mhm.
on this, I feel like they used those jars. Were not. It was
Mm.
intentional that he chose those jars
Yeah.
to use,
Mhm.
because they're using that to cleanse them, and he used his blood, which
Yeah.
is wine.
Yeah. And that would answer her question about why did he turn water to wine?
Yeah,
Because that's their he used that representation for blood.
yeah.
Himself being the new wine.
Yeah. So I'm kind of on the same bandwagon with Patty,
Yeah.
but a little on the other side of the Ten Commandments.
Yeah.
Jesus was really obeying, honor thy father and thy mother,
Mhm.
so your days would be, blessed and all that. So I feel like at this time, yeah, he knew his time had not come yet,
Yes.
and yet his mother is asking him to do this, and in order for him to really obey the commandments like they were given, he did it anyway.
Okay, I like that. I see where you guys are going with that. That's good.
Yeah.
Any other thoughts on this section, just in terms of understanding what is the point of the section? Anna, did you have any? I know you posed quite a series of questions at the beginning.
Doesn't he
Yeah,
say
that answer was kind of like trying to answer Anna's question.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Doesn't he say something about himself being? Don't point that out. Didn't he say something himself being the new wine in some other place?
Yeah, about new wine and old wineskins. Yeah, he does
Yeah.
talk about new wine and old wineskins. And then, of course, at
So
the
that's like a thing.
Last Supper, he calls himself
I wonder if
the
he's
wine.
saying the thing
blood.
about keeping the best wine until now was some metaphor.
Keeping the best wine until now. Yeah, it could be like a metaphor,
For
right?
sure.
Comparing the Old Testament to his coming. Yeah, that's beautiful.
I had more of a, just a different, I mean, I agree with those, but it's just another thing was that Jesus was modeling how, Mary, his mom,
Mhm.
stated exactly what her problem was, that this is what I need.
Mm.
And then said, do whatever he tells you. And
Mm.
it's kind of like, if we do the same thing, and we
Mhm.
model, God wants us to express what it is we need, what is our problem. And then if we then completely obey, that's when he opens up
Yeah.
more, the blessings,
Yeah.
it could have just been this, but
Yeah.
he gives it he will provide his best. I think is one of the things. I don't know where I got that. Oh, but you have kept the best until now. So
Yes.
he gave his best
Yes.
by
Yes.
obeying.
So she kind of told him what she wanted, but then she also left him. She really honored him by saying, do whatever he tells you. She gave him that honor of, he could choose to defer, I suppose. But then he did respond to what she wanted with that. Yeah, I really like that.
It really feels like some secret signal passed between them. But she didn't even ask him to do anything. She just said they have no wine. And he's like, well, what do you want me to do about it?
Yeah.
And she says, do whatever he tells you. Like,
Yeah.
they didn't even directly ask each
Yeah.
other or agree to do anything.
Yeah.
Somehow it just seems like they knew.
Yeah. Maybe he could read her mind.
Probably couldn't read his mind.
Oh, that's good. Well, let's take this and transition into tax now. This is a really good framework for tax. So you can just start calling out teachings. So this is, what do we see about Jesus or God and the Holy Spirit? Who he is, what he does, and what does this tell us about us? Like Tori, this is, we can,
Martha, I'm going to cut you off in about 10 minutes.
okay. What does this tell us about us, who we are, and what we do? So teachings. Who we are, who we should be. That's what I meant to say.
Did you stop your recording, by the way, or do you want to keep going?
We'll just keep going.
I feel like, well, one of the teachings is that like there's always more to the story than what you're just reading.
Hmm.
Or the foreshadowing of his death is definitely in there. And also that I really feel like strongly about honoring your mother is in there as well.
I love that. That is so, I love what you're saying, because not only the content of what you're saying, but every time I have a realization like that, it shows me how important it is to meditate on the Bible, not just to read it. Because when
Yeah.
I read over the story, I would have never captured what you said or the things that I had noted, any of the things we've noticed,
Yeah.
I would never notice them. I would just read it as a short story and put it away and be like,
Mhm.
okay. I don't think that's how we were meant to read the Bible.
Right.
So,
I agree with you.
I also really like that part about honoring your mother. I think that's really, really biblical and good and important, and Jesus modeled that. Okay, good. Thank you.
This isn't really teaching, but I don't know if this is teaching, but isn't it kind of weird that the end caps of his ministry are both wine related?
The end caps of his ministry are both wine related.
I don't know what that teaches you, but
I don't know. I grew up in a church where
There's
you weren't even
something
allowed
in
to
there.
drink alcohol, so they really
Yeah, that
struggled with
does
some of
not-
these scriptures.
that does not seem.
I really loved that he used the jars that were meant for cleansing.
Yes. So,
Are
mhm,
you aware he wrote the doors first?
Mhm.
the detail about the, what did you say, Ted? Sorry, I got distracted. Yeah, exactly. He's very selective about the details he includes. There's a lot that's not included. So what's in there must have been very important. Yeah.
Oh, that's a really good point.
I heard one of the things too was that there were 6 water jars.
Uh-huh.
So it's, you know, for God, everything's completion and
Mhm.
the perfect is when there's 7. And so
Um,
it's- we're working towards it, but it's.
Yeah. So the 6 would represent that we're not to completion yet, but that's kind of, we're getting close,
Yeah.
but we're not to
That's a good
completion
thought,
yet.
too.
That's like a.
Or maybe he was a 7.
Yeah, I know.
I think for me, one of the teachings that stood out was at the end when it says he revealed his glory and his disciples believed in him.
Yeah.
So I guess the teaching there would be that God reveals what we need when we need it, that we can trust that he's going to show us. And I think a lot of that often comes through the word. That's why I love soaking in the word, is he keeps revealing himself to us in that.
It was that, you know, state what your God
Yes.
was to Jesus, and when you obey, how it responds.
Yes.
Will provide.
Oh, yeah.
And he will provide his best. And the best of Jesus, like, it doesn't get any better than that. Yes. Yeah, I love that.
Also, he.
How about the faith of Mary to know that he's going to do it? He's going to change water into wine. You know, that's amazing.
Yeah, right. That's such a model of faith.
Yeah.
of Mary. And I love that. This is kind of like when we were, well, in James, we talked a little bit about James being the brother of Jesus and that he knew Jesus so well. Mary being the mother of Jesus, same. Like
Mhm.
for her to have that much faith in him, to me, shows how legit he was, because she would have known every crack and crevice about him that could be known.
Sure. It's true.
And she had this kind of faith in him.
Very much is the book you want me, that really struck me as powerful was how, that this guy who went on to be a missionary in China.
Yeah.
He wasn't ready to go because he felt like his faith wasn't strong enough. And he had this kind of epiphany that it's not about what his faith, it's God's faith in him is all. God will, but God is always faithful. It doesn't matter where our level of faith is.
Yes.
It's God's.
Yes, God will. It's God's faithfulness, not ours, that carries the whole load.
Yeah. So Mary kind of see that, or
Yeah.
I think that's why she does the thing.
Yeah, that's why she had the faith. She knew Jesus. Yeah.
Here's one for you.
Yeah.
There's no harder for him to make good wines than bad.
Okay, tell us what you're thinking there.
That if he's giving you something,
I like that.
it's no challenge for him to give you something good and something bad.
That's so true. He chose to give good. What he wanted was to give the very best. He could have easily made cheap wine that would have been
Yeah.
normally served at that time.
Especially if he didn't want to reveal himself.
Yeah, right. Oh, that's so good.
I learned
So God always gives you the best.
God always gives you the best. And I think that's true. I think that I've been thinking about this. The difficulty is that what we think is the best isn't what God thinks is the best.
Yeah.
But we think we know better, right?
Yeah.
That's where the truth and lies practice that we do starts to come into play, is starting to unpack
Mm.
what have I been believing is the best that's not really the best, and where have I not been trusting that God really is giving the best. I think that's a great spot to move into adorations, because it's just going to rocket right off of that. So thinking about these teachings and these verses, what do you adore about Christ and God in the Spirit?
Jesus loved his mother.
What'd you say?
Jesus loved his mother.
Yes, he did. That's so sweet and beautiful. That's awesome. The sweetness of life is in the details. I find also something that one of the things I've noticed in the Gospels is that Jesus almost always says yes to people.
Mm.
If he says, the guy who said, "Come to my house and heal this person," and then the guy who said, "Don't come to my house, just heal them from here." And it seems like, whatever the situation for the healing and the miracle, and that seems kind of how he's starting the whole deal, is saying yes, even though doesn't sound like he was intending to.
Isn't that a reflection of the people's trust and faith
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
him more than anything else?
Yes, I think you're right.
Yeah. Because if you were faithful, if you trusted him and he's gonna do it, he did it.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, other adorations that you guys see, things that just make you feel worshipful in
I'll
this.
give you 3 or 2 minutes.
Okay, we'll try.
We should all die falling asleep.
We should die falling asleep. Did you get that from this section, Ted, or is this just a personal belief? I wouldn't mind dying falling asleep. Okay, thank you. I better put that in the note. Anything else from this section that you feel worshipful about? Well, we've been talking about faith. I love the faith of the servants who took the wine to the headmaster.
Yeah, right.
I love that. This is really a section about faith. Isn't that interesting? I hadn't really seen it that way before this conversation.
Well, if you like faith, you might like listening to this week's song, "Holding On to You" by 21 Pilots, and then maybe you can listen to my podcast.
Okay, if you couldn't hear Anna in her funny little voice, she said, if you like faith, the song from 21 Pilots this week is called Holding On to You. We're going to send out a link to it probably today or tomorrow. And it must talk about faith.
Martha apparently doesn't know it, even though we listen to it all the time.
I just can't summon it to my brain right now.
Okay, I won't
I'm
sing
sorry.
it so I don't spoil it.
No, go ahead.
No,
No, go ahead.
no. I want people to listen to it on their own.
Okay, we want you to listen
They
to it
can
on
do
your
it
own.
way better than I can.
Yeah.
I'll sing it next week.
Oh, good. She's going to sing it next week. Okay, and then there'll be a podcast hopefully at the end of next week.
And there will be a podcast today.
Yeah, we're going to publish the one today or tomorrow that we did yesterday. Okay, let's talk about confessions. Oh boy, here we go. Ted just went. You probably couldn't hear the breath.
I had, just forgive me, because he gave us the best, like of his wine. I just feel like, sometimes I don't always give my best.
Yeah. Well, and I think sometimes I don't, one of my confessions would be that I don't have the faith that he is giving his best. Kind of like what Ted says. It doesn't always feel like he's answered our prayers or like he's giving his best to us. And sometimes I get kind of grumpy and I don't react well. And I think that shows that I'm not really having faith that he's giving his best in that moment.
I think too, in the part where he says, and his disciples believed in him. And I just think like asking for forgiveness. So it takes me sometimes a little bit longer to believe with certain things.
The problem with that. But said it,
Yeah, sometimes, well, not sometimes. I always find myself depending on I feel like I trust myself more than I trust God.
Yes.
If I'm in trouble, I want to get myself out of that trouble. If I am doing something, I say, I can do this, not instead of putting him first.
Yes.
Right.
God can get me out of this.
That's right. Ted, did you have something to add there? Ted was going to say something and it was exactly what you just answered. Michelle, how about you? Did I just hear your voice?
No.
Martha, I need to cut you off.
Oh, Anna's going to cut us off. Okay, well, let's.
Do a supplication or prayer before we.
Let's do a supplication and a prayer. Let's just do supplication and then I'll do a closing prayer based on our, I saw your gesture. Supplications. What does this make you want to ask for related to this, these thoughts and these meditations in the text?
I just would say more faith.
Yes, more faith, more faith,
And
More trust.
more trust.
Mhm.
and more like what Patrick just said. Don't be,
Yeah.
just relying on like you'll just be doing it without even thinking of asking God,
Yes.
and you just start doing instead of going, okay, Lord, how can I see this in a different way? Instead of just jumping right in and doing what I think needs to be done for so many different things.
And on his timing, she's trying to rush the time, but.
Yeah.
Rushing, not don't rush.
The key is not rushing.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. One of the things I think I told you about this a little bit when we did the heart math meditation, heart love meditation is what I call it, is that idea of having the adorations that we're talking about. Like you can even imagine that you're holding the adoration and the trust that we're talking about, that faith in Jesus in your physical heart. So as you approach a situation, instead of having that sort of a negativity or that get it done or hunker down mode, that you go into it instead reflecting on that sense of adoration in your heart so that you're aware of him and leaning into him and not getting so uptight about things not going quite the way you were hoping they were going to go. So Okay, I think on that note, I'm going to close us in a prayer based on our meditations today. Are we all ready for ready to pray?
Yeah.
Okay.
Can I get this?
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, no, you can put it away. Thank you. Oh, Jesus, I bring all of our hearts to you right now as we have been really appreciating the story that you've given us and what's underneath the story, even that I know I haven't seen this before. So first of all, I thank you, Spirit, for opening our eyes to see these truths. And I feel in my heart, I feel a sense of repentance and conviction and almost this sense of joy of refreshing my commitment to you and coming back to you. And first, we just confess and apologize that we do take our life into our own hands, and we do try to be the person in control. We try to go to the solutions without even thinking about you. And we apologize for that, and we just receive your forgiveness. Jesus, we thank you for what you have done, that we could have forgiveness for this. And in this moment, I just welcome your Spirit to wash into our hearts with a sense of renewed trust and faith and commitment to carrying the beauty of that in our hearts into the moments, the good ones and the bad ones. That when we have that knee-jerk reaction to go on self-effort or negativity, that your Spirit will prompt us to bring our hearts right back to this place where we're in now, this sense of awe and the realization when we step back that it is ridiculous to think that we could carry anything compared to you and your strength and your amazing intelligence and creativity and pure love. And so in our hearts, we just bow our knees to you and pray for you to help keep us there. Jesus, we pray this in your power. Amen.
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 Good to see you guys.
You too. Thank
See
you.
too.
See
Okay, bye.
Good prayer.
Bye-bye.
Okay, that, and
I gotta go
then
home and eat. My tummy's
that. I didn't even
growling.
put snacks out. I have a whole bag of snacks there that I
Oh,
meant to
I'm so
put out.
hungry.
Get some to eat on the way. There's
Wait,
beef
for
sticks and
everyone?
yeah, in for everyone.
Yeah, it's nice to meet you in person.
Oh, this is your first in-person meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah, we've got beef sticks. We've got
Oh,
popcorners here. Let me pull this out so you can see what's in here.